You're freaking fired. This is my big ass hand. Look at it. It is 4:44 on Friday. Approaching 5:55. Within the next hour. Close to whatever. From 3:33 to 4:44 to 5:55. Periods of time. Think about it. I look like shit. I just need to shave. We're getting a hell of a lot of radiation. I'm sure it's the sun. They have all these plants that are acting crazy as hell. I did a little story about it yesterday. I forgot to upload it before I passed out. All nuzzled in my bed, passed out. And I went into having dreams. And I was having the craziest fucking dream about one of my cousins. The one we don't like. Well, there's, in my family with me and my brother, who I talked to yesterday, and he had some disturbing news, or not really, it's not like somebody died, but in a way, I'm not going to say his business, but he had some very interesting things that he said about his own person, his happiness, and what he wants out of life, what he doesn't want out of life. He's already a married, pseudo-married. See, he didn't get married. He didn't get married. You know, I'm married and greatly lament my wife. I've got two numbers that maybe is hers or not. I don't know. I had one number appear in my Google photos, and I had saved, written down the same number that I recently found, where I had it put up with important papers and shit. And I'm like, let me see if this is the same number. Both the same number. So I sent it a text today and try to say, I don't know what happened to my ex. I don't know what happened to her. Normally, I mean, you have situations where people break apart, go their own ways. You have that in life. You have that a lot. Big deal. So what? For people to remain civil and communicate, you can do it without somebody that's really hateful to you, you know, and you just can't stand them or be around them at all. You know, that's one thing. That happens to a lot of men and women for a lot of different reasons. But you don't have to have that. You can be bigger than that. But you do have to have somebody that is willing to also be bigger than that. See, I think that men and women should be married, like monogamous, whatever. But I really think that they need their own terms now to come up with for themselves. And I think people are too prone to try to be physical and all that shit too soon, and they're not paying the proper attention to the ritual and mating process. Because if they would, I think people are compatible to be partners for their whole life correctly in some way. That's what I feel like. I think that that's very important to our society, because when it starts to break down, as you can see, it's breaking down all the effects that we're having right now. Now, I was just listening to Tim Pool say that Donald Trump wants to gut 50,000 jobs and purge the deep state that way. And that would be amazing. If he was able to do that, it's about what we need. Because other than that, the country's likely to have a civil war. I mean, we're already kind of in a civil war in a way. And I don't think you need to be Republican per se, because I don't really, I'm more of a libertarian, if that's the thing. But it's only because the only things that I want to vote on for someone for are things that I know about and understand. If I don't know about the Congress people's race, what their shit is, I don't vote for them. I don't do it. And mostly, I think we have an illusion of our ability to vote because I think they maintain some sort of control on it somewhere up the ladder. But I don't think it's something we should just not vote because I'm just not gonna vote because it doesn't count. I think that slaps our ancestors in the face, the ones that have fought and died in wars and shit. And you can be like all day long, about the wars. We don't have a modern war that we can justify. What, Iraq? What's the reason for that? Lies. At least for my generation, we know that, or we don't know that. I was willing to go over there, and I didn't get to go because I had marijuana in my piss, and then ended up working at NASA, subcontracting, putting in AC works for a shit ton of money. So I ended up doing that around the time my first child was born. But I had the programming. I wanted to go to the military and wanted to go to Iraq. I wanted to be looting the antiquities with them. I did. They did. They did. So that's just examining my own self and the programming hypnosis that I was under. We're all still under some form of mind control, but usually it's your own mind control that matters the most. What control you have over your mind is the control that you have in your thinking and feeling and imaginings. And that's not easy, but it can be manageable, it can be obtained, and it can be fluid enough to get you to the end of your life with some sort of better placement in respect to its going on than the latter. See, finger. My finger is swollen. It is under attack. It doesn't have a bite on it. It is throbbing like a son of a bitch. It is in the state this one was. So, once upon a time, I'll tell this story and use my hand because I'm a lefty in just my hand. I was ambidextrous when I was young, 3 and 4 years old. I could write with both hands. When I wrote with my right hand, I wrote backwards. So I think that's the state of most childlike minds as they begin to develop because they haven't learned writing proper yet. And before you do, that opportunity for both hemispheres to be engaged is still going on. So my disposition is of the right mind. Thus I write with my left hand. Now, in my life, my thumb being my most important member of this hand, because without it, there is no opposition to grab. That's what the thumb's about. Is it a finger? No, it's a thumb. It is finger-like mostly, but it is not a finger. Is it a digit? It is a digit. These are the digitals. I got an infection in this thumb. I believe it was around, what year was it? Might have been 2006. I don't remember. In the first decade of the 2000s. And it got swollen. I didn't have a mark on it either. And I was like, good God. I was working in South Houston at a sheet metal shop called Ken Gurry Mechanical. And it was at 813 Medical Center Boulevard in Webster. That's the address. And it's 813, which is weird because that's the minute and birth of my child, is 813. And it was part of the reason why I saw that place as a good opportunity to work and applied. And I got the job. And actually, it was kind of cool because it was just an interesting place until the boss's brother started stealing gas with the gas cards and filling up all the employees' gas for like real cheap. Was gas expensive then? It wasn't out of my reach to pay for, but for whatever reason, I let him fill up my gas. They started calling us into the office one by one. And I couldn't lie to the guy. It's like, yeah, I let him fill my gas up. He asked me to do it, and I said yes. I'm sorry. I can't lie to you, though, that I did. Well, he fired a few people. If I could have gone back, I wouldn't have done it. But at the time, I didn't really think that it was going to be our job in jeopardy. But he ratted on us. He rolled right over on all of us. I was the only one that admitted I got gas. The owner knew every other motherfucker in there got gas, but none of them would admit it except me. So I don't feel like there's any way I could have kept that job in that situation and been okay even working there. I don't have a moral disposition to evil or doing wrong. I have one to doing right. And in those instances, my higher self told me it was like that. I had the message come, and it told me, do not lie to that man. You have to tell him the truth. And somehow I've always gotten messages from my higher self in that way, because you don't have time in that moment to consider it. If your thinking rational lower human mind gets involved, then it's going to fuck it up. There are times divinely appointed throughout your life where you go right into it and you're crystal clear on what you have to do and what you do. And you flow with that moment in time in a surreal manner that will light a fire in you that may, reignite you down the line like a pilot light or something. I don't really know how to say it. But we're in times like that again. Everybody can feel it. Everybody can kind of sense it. It's the thickness. But really, you have to have people that have that fire for the truth. They have that fire for the truth. They're not going to come up with some cover story for every fucking thing. That's not the world we can live in. Where the politicians go in and they've got a designed response. Another thing they were talking about on this show was how Marjorie Taylor Greene went in there and anything that they asked her, because she came back on the show, she just, comes out with what she thinks about stuff. And women are good at that, Women are naturally a little better at that than men can be. Men can be more contrite. Women can be worse when they're worse. And in that sort of grouping type of way that causes the clumping up of cells, and it's just a biopersonal element that's got a psychic angle. It's where the noosphere comes in. and interacts upon the biosphere. It's really interesting. This book, I should have it on this phone now that it's working. Or that is to say, it hasn't turned off on its own in a few hours. It's fully charged. And what I think may have done it or fucked it up is putting it in this thing that holds it to hold it up to do film and shit, because the pressure that it puts on it is that type of squeeze that would loosen the ribbons, like the instructional video was saying. That's because it was telling you to press on the phone, tap on it real hard in the spots of the middle, and then smooth it out, like give it a back massage to press in and roll in whatever may be jostled out of place. Which I did. I did all that. And at the time, it did not fix it. But maybe it did, because eventually after putting it on the charge, it just comes on its own and it works. The other phone's completely broke. I don't know why. What happened to it? It wasn't exhibiting the same thing, but it went completely black screen, like all the colors and just lines of colors. I'm like, okay, well then that's not. Maybe I stepped on it. I don't know. I don't remember stepping on it, or, you know. Sometimes if you have a phone on the floor right next to you, like your bed or something, you could just stand up out of bed and step on it just by putting your whole foot on it. That might have pressure. I might have done it. I don't know. That's the only possible thing I can think. But my first thought is to say, I don't know what happened to it. I didn't step on it because I don't remember stepping on it. But I think in that way, I'm telling myself I did step on it. I just don't remember it. So that's just a little taste of my thinking process, because I felt it necessary to go that extra step and examine myself while putting this other situation of government on blast. Like, to look at it. Because, if we're willing to open and look at things that maybe aren't comfortable, we're always going to have to do that to some degree. I didn't mean anal cavity search, but it could be that far if you don't acknowledge the basic principle of why things have to be transparent when it has to do with human over human rulership. I'm not going to say I'm an anarchist, a complete fucking anarchist, because I am not. I don't think you get any manner of society. I mean, at least I don't know. You would have to, the only anarchist that I know that I believe is an anarchist is Mark Passio. And I don't even know if you could hang out with him and have a good time. But I like his material. His material is fucking great. It comes from the most far back, the most broken down fucking truths as you can fucking find from classical thinking and then onward. But it makes you a lens that you can use and look and analyze the world to some degree to see the bullshit. And yes, most of the society has to operate at bullshit levels because they don't care. And as long as there's jobs and there's things to do, there's going to be an ignorant class of people. That doesn't mean they should be ascribed to slavery. By no means. It just means there has to be a better incentive and, educational system. One we don't have. So there you go. If you have any ideas or questions or comments, put them. No, this is not the most amazing video. I'm sorry. But at least my thinking mind is right, and I'm trying to share things that I think are important and have a bearing upon the future, at least in the upcoming world landscape with the government things as they are. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.